What are we singing together? We're singing a song together, right? I've always known what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be sit in an office or anything like that. I just wanted to be in the middle of the music. Just Another Day in Paradise is a funny song. It was a big hit for me, but I mean, it really, really came about because my washing machine flooded my kitchen. I mean, it's Nashville idiots. There's a lot of those guys that, of course, they think they know everything, but they don't know anything. We were playing 1,500 seat, theaters, and then we were playing 30,000 seat arenas that summer. We wanted No Heartbeat. Yeah.
No Heartbeat.
No Heartbeat, and it happened again. They were introducing me to my music again. My sisters and Carrie, they were playing my songs for me. This is you. Oh, it is. It's just great to be able to do that and to come home and go, man, this is, it's a town that built me as a writer, as an artist, as a human.
Welcome to another edition of No Holds Barred. I'm Rich Roth. My guest today, local Lynchburg legend, Phil Vassar. You like that, don't you?
Yeah, that means you're old, I guess. Yeah. You're one of them classic artists now. It's kind of fun. It's great to be home. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I appreciate you dropping by.
Oh, man, this is great.
Quick visit for you, right in town for a wedding.
Yeah, my niece is getting married, and which is always fun, and everybody's growing up. All the girls are getting married and having babies and stuff like that. I'm like, what happened? I left Nashville, and I left for Nashville in 85, I think. So it was, out of JMU and straight to the the rat race, I guess. It was different.
Well, when you were saying every time you come back, you're amazed at how much this place has changed since then.
It is unreal. I mean, it's just, and the hotels and downtown, what they're doing to that, and it's beautiful. Mm. I mean, it really is beautiful. Virginia's a lovely place, and I know you're from up in Long Island, but my niece is marrying a guy from Long Island, and he went to JMU, met her at JMU, and it's great.
Well, if he's from Long Island, he's got to be a good guy. Right?
No, he's great, man. He's really great. We love him.
So, quick weekend for you back in town for the wedding, but you'll be back again in another month or so.
Right.
You've got a tour that you're on right now, and you're going to wrap it up at the Academy. And I know there's a golf event for the Miller home, and you've always been involved with that. And, you talked about how much you love coming back home, but you've stayed involved with a lot of, things back here, including the Miller home. What's been so special to you about the Miller home?
Well, when I was a kid, of course, we went to Parkview Methodist, which was right over there next to where Pittman Plaza used to be. Now it's not there anymore, but that was our church, and the Miller home was right next to it. And when I was when I was a kid, we'd go over there and we'd sing to the girls, and it was I always felt like one of these days I want to really stay part of this, and so it was one of those things we did, and we started doing concerts and benefits, and we still do. We do the golf tournament every year, and it's been almost a couple of decades now we've been been involved with it. So it's been my primary charity. I love it, being part of it. It's my hometown, and you can't beat it, really. It's just great.
Well, you can tell how important it is to you, right? In years past, you'd kind of done those private events, which were so much fun. And you mentioned the golf tournament, and I know you've done concerts out at the golf course, and you just love playing, don't you?
I do love it, and they actually brought a group down last year to my place, to my house, and we did a little event in my barn, and it was great. And so maybe we'll do that again sometime. So you come on down too, and we'll broadcast from the house in Nashville.
That sounds fun.
It's really great. It's the history of that place is, I mean, of course, it's been around since the 1800s, and it's like, holy smoke, you know. So we just keep kicking that can down the road, man, and rocking them on. It's what Stacy's done, and over there she's and now she's leaving and having one of my good friends, his daughter's taken over. It's one of the guys I grew up with in my neighborhood. So she's taken over the whole deal, and we're proud of her too. Crazy.
So you're not going anywhere when it comes to the Miller home.
I'll do whatever I have to do. I love coming home and you know, being in the golf tournament. Of course, we're having it the day of the show, the day of the concert. I'm doing it at the Academy here. Mm-hmm. It's on a Monday, and so I'll be you know, kicking out the tournament that morning, and I'll be playing the show that night. That's pretty much what we're doing. And we have one more show in Carolina after that, but then we're done for the year.
So you're back on the road, touring again, which, yeah, you know, and in all fairness, and I told you this beforehand, grew up on Long Island, not a ton of country music up there when I was growing up. So I'm still learning a lot about that.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, had a blast at your show that I saw, you know, a couple of years ago downtown for the Miller home. And
right.
It was just so much fun. But I've done, you know, I've seen some of the interviews and other stuff you've done. And, you know, you talk about how much you love performing and how, you know, that, I mean, so, and I'm sure most folks know you had a medical situation a couple of years ago, and
weird, man,
that had to be so scary.
It was, you know, it really was. It was, I didn't know what was going on, you know, because of, you know, like we've talked about. I mean, I always ate right. I did all the things that you're supposed to do, and you know, exercised, of course, and never ate fried food in my life. You know, nothing.
Wow,
like
you were
that.
missing out.
No, I know. Apparently, I tell you what, I do love some fried chicken now. But I mean, I just never really. I was always, you know, of course, I was a sports guy, and you know, I was always into track and field and football and all that stuff. And then went to college, ran track, and did all that. And then I said, man, you know, time to go to Nashville. And I had some friends, one of my buddies, Jimmy Fortune, who's a Statler brother, and my track coach at James Madison was, I mean, if he's a player and he's part of the reason I moved to Nashville. He said, look, man, you've got what it takes, and you know, it was really neat to have people that really believed, because everybody thought I was crazy, of course. You know, you moved to Nashville, and what do you want to jump in the middle of that rat race for? And it's the best thing I ever did, and it took a long time. It wasn't overnight for sure. It took us a 10-year overnight success. You know, it was great.
What was it like during those 10 years when you were just fighting to, you know, establish yourself, make it, whatever term you want to use?
Well, it was a lot of. I bartended. That's what I did. You know, I came to town and I was bartending, and then one of the guys that worked for this restaurant nightclub kind of bar, I said, look, dude, I was bartending there, and he's the guy that played football at Wyoming. He's just a great guy. And matter of fact, I saw him in Cookeville not long ago. He's retired now, but he said, look, man, I said, I play piano and sing too, right? He's like, you do? And I said, I do. So I just, he said, well, come in on Monday night. Nobody will be here. We'll just, let's try you out. So, of course, I was a big golfer.
Nobody will be there.
Nobody will be there. He
awesome,
said,
thanks.
Because he didn't know if I was terrible or it was pretty smart of him. But I was a big golfer at that time. And a lot of my buddies, I said, look, I'm doing a show at this restaurant. O'Charlie's is what it was. And it just was packed. I got all my buddies and everybody's girlfriends, and everybody came, and I just started playing. You know, at that point, I really didn't do many of my own songs, but I did a lot of stuff like Billy Joel, of course. Long Island, he's my hero. You know, Billy Joel changed my life. I mean, and
really, how so?
I mean, he changed my life.
Just his music?
Just his music. And I would, I've listened to, of course, every album he's ever done, I've gotten, and done songs off that record. I would always do cover songs of Billy and Elton John, of course, and Jackson Browne and Bob Seger. They were my heroes.
Have you seen the HBO or the Max special yet?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that was.
It's unreal.
It made so much of it make sense too. The life and what he was writing about, and I know a lot of what you write about is personal. Is that true of most songwriters?
Well, I think if you're just a songwriter, they write songs about trucks and girls or whatever. I mean, I for me, as an artist, I always try to write about stuff that I've lived, that I've gone through, and so. Yeah, I mean, like American Child and some of those songs, and Just Another Day in Paradise was a funny song. It was a big hit for me, but I mean, it really, really came about because my washing machine flooded my kitchen. I mean, I met up with a buddy of mine. We wrote this song. We started laughing. Just Another Day in Paradise, I guess, and we went, let's write that. Boom. And it changed everything, for me as an artist, because I'd had a bunch of hits from McGraw and, it had Jody Messina, all the songs, Bye Bye, I'm All Right. And they were songs that I'd written and played at my bar. And they were just big songs. And, these guys started cutting it. Colin Ray cut Little Red Rodeo, which was my first huge hit, #1 song. And then I think after about almost the 10th song, everybody started going, well, how come you're not doing records? Like, I've been trying to do records forever, for a decade. And, but it was, it happens the way it happens. And I had great artists that were Kenny, of course, Chesney, and took me on the road with them right away. And of course I went out with Kenny Rogers, and it was just it's been quite a journey.
Well, and you talked about, right? I mean, we know that a lot of musicians, right? And I would assume that would incorporate all the different types of music, but the partying and the drugs and all that, and
right.
That was never your thing.
I never did. It always made me feel like I just didn't feel good. I never liked alcohol. It made me feel like I never liked to be out of control, right? And anyway, see what that got me. But, it just, I tried to work out and stay, focused on what I was doing. And because there's so many distractions you can, whether it's drinking, alcohol, drugs, women. I mean, there's all things that you can take a lot of the wrong roads.
Well, and I'm thinking too about some of the people that you said you were, on tour with. I mean, like, to not get involved with that might be a challenge.
Yeah, it was. It was. And a lot of the band, I had, so I always tried to keep, as a matter of fact, Jeff, who is he's my road manager and my guitar player. And we've been playing together, playing music since we were kids, right? I've known him since I was born. So I was having all these hits as a writer. Then one day, Arista Records came along. All these people were trying to get me to sign with them. And I said, well, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. And Tim Dubois, who was head of Arista at that time, and Joe Galante, who was at RCA, it all merged, and Clive Davis at Arista. He said, dude, I love your songs, love your songwriting. He said, do a record. I'm like, it's about time. Yeah. It's like,
where you been the last 10 years?
I said, where you been for over a decade? While I've been, but it was, it was great. I really learned a lot about myself, about, I had my own bar. That was before everybody else did that.
Really?
Now everybody's got their own,
tequila.
They
right?
put their names or they do whatever on these things. But I did it, and and we just had great success. It just everybody would come. I had a great following, and I was working at this other bar, and I finally just said, I'm done. Bar owners a lot of times are just kind of sleazeballs. A lot of them, the deal. But I mean, not all of them. But I'm just saying that I finally said, look, I'm out. I'm going to start my own place. I went right down the street and opened it up, and it was a boom. So I was like, wow. So, I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I had a good following, and people would come hear me play. And whenever I would write a new song, I would play it for my audience. And, they'd either throw something, they'd be, whenever you did the song, they'd go, you wait, and they'd go, play some Skinner. You knew, all right, let's mark that one off. But, like on my 30th birthday, I went straight to the bar and I wrote the song. And you write them really quickly. You write something like that. And I played it that night, and everybody just went nuts, right? And I was like, okay, that's a good one. We'll keep that. And then, of course, I pitched it around town, and Faith and Tim, of course, Tim ended up cutting the song. I didn't think they were going to. It makes you sound old. And I'm like, 30's old? Where are we now? When 30's old, I mean, my gosh. So, but of course, after it was a number one song for about 5 weeks, I think they figured it was okay. And I'm All Right, and I would play that song. As a matter of fact, I wrote I'm All Right about one of my buddies who's the commissioner of revenue here in town, Mitch Knuckles. And we went to high school together. And anyway, it was his birthday. I just moved to Nashville. And I said, man, I just started writing lyrics down in the car. Of course, writing and driving, I think it's against the law. But it ended up, I found it in my glove box. I was writing a lot of lyrics, I just write the words down and then I put music to it later on. And that's what I did for that song. And it ended up, of course, being a huge hit. And, everybody tried to call, that song's got too many words. Nobody will like it. And anyway, Nashville idiots. There's a lot of those guys that, of course, they think they know everything, but they don't know anything. So it just took longer,
You mentioned Mitch Knuckles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mitchell Wayne.
So I spoke with him earlier today.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
I told you I tried to do a little bit of homework.
Yeah, he's got a lot of homework. I got a lot of homework on him too, so you better.
Dude,
he's great.
He shared with me some stuff, and then we started, doing a little digging. I think I was on the phone with him for almost a half hour.
Oh, cool.
And he said, first of all, he goes, see if he remembers the name Fumbling Phil.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Mitch. Yeah.
He couldn't remember which game it was, though.
I think it was against EC Glass.
It was against Glass? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was against Glass.
He thought maybe JF, but he wasn't sure.
It might have been. I can't remember. I'm sure they can remember, but it was Glass. I think but we actually, we ended up, of course I had a touchdown the next year against Glass, and I think we tied them as best we ever did, but it was something. It was I only played football for my junior and senior year, and of course I was athletic, of course, and but I went to JMU on a track scholarship.
I was going to say, saying that you're athletic is a bit modest because. Again, he was enjoying going down memory road and I'm sitting there like soaking it all in. Like, I didn't know any of this. Like, do you know you still have 2 records at Brookville High School in track and field?
Yeah. I think with long jump, high jump, long hurdles. Jump, high jump. I think maybe the hurdles. I don't remember. I know I won the state in the hurdles. I won the state in the high jump and the long jump. So, it was a...
Well, and then he was telling me too that... you almost single-handedly helped the indoor track and field team from Brookville win a state championship.
We did, and it was a pretty amazing thing. I mean, we had a great. We just lost one of our teammates about a month ago, and but he was a great athlete too, Simmons, but you know what? It was just the bond I had with all those guys at Brookville, and it was just. It's incredible. I mean, they're still my dear friends. We still all talk, and they know how to text better than I do. But so there's like 10 of us on this text, right? You know, somebody will bring up something, and you know, it's just it's kind of magic when you get to come back home and see your brothers, really, because you know it was all women for me. All my mother, my sisters. You know, my nieces, my daughters. So I've been face down in the estrogen pool for a long time. And but you know, it's really great to come home and see my brothers, man. So it's this is fun just to be home for this wedding and you know get to come hang out with you guys. So
you go to JMU on a track scholarship. And you know, at what point, and you said when you left there, even your track coach was saying, you got to go to Nashville. So tell me how all that evolved. Although before we get there, you know, one other thing Mitch shared with me was maybe it was at a senior assembly or something. You were playing and he said you had classmates coming up to you asking you for autographs. Like it was like you were that good and they knew back then that you were going to be something special in music, and that's kind of wild.
You know, you just never know. It's so weird how you know things evolve and you get better. And I mean, I was playing piano then. And as a matter of fact, one of my teachers, she was my English teacher, and of course Mitch and everybody knows. But she would be like, I'd come in to class and I was such a spaz. Everybody thought, you know. This guy must do drugs, right? Never did. But you know, she was just like, I can't handle you today. You just go walk the halls. So what I would do, I would go to the theater, you know, the hall, whatever, the auditorium, and they had a grand piano in there. So I would just go play, and that's kind of how I picked it up and started playing Commodore songs, playing Lionel Richie, playing whatever you know I could do. Figuring out Billy Joel, and then I started playing harmonica and all the stuff. It just, you know, it was a fun time. I mean, of course, you know, I've always known what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be sit in an office or anything like that. I just wanted to be in the middle of the music, and it worked out.
Is it true you were never really formally or classically trained in piano?
I never took lessons in my life.
Wow.
I never did. But, you know, when I went to JMU, I did take a piano class, and she just, you know, I started playing, and she just was like, I'm not going to make you do any of this. I said, you just.
I get an A? See you next semester?
It was like, this is a waste of your time and a waste of my time, really. So, you know, so what do you want to know? And of course, I was a big, you know, of course, Bruce Hornsby changed my life, right, too. You know, those were the guys that, you know, I could relate to. I mean, especially Billy, of course, he always wrote about his life. And I think that was, you know, that inspired me to say, look, man, this is what I do. And I'm going to be a writer and a performer. And, you know, because, you know, and even people like Queen, you know, you talk about those guys were great, and there's a lot of pop music out then, and you know the Commodores and Lionel Richie but I ended up, of course, Kenny Rogers was a dear friend, and took me on the road with him too, you know, and he said, man, I just love. It was such a learning experience. I mean, I have George Jones's bus. When he passed away, Nancy called and said, I know, Phil, you're looking for a bus. Do you want George's bus? So I said, yes, ma'am. And I still have it to this day. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for a new bus because his bus gets drunk on me sometimes. And it's like I need to get a new one, but we're working on that right now. And but I was so blessed to like Merle Haggard, and I had the friendship, and they were really great to young songwriters, and I just miss him, miss Merle so much, and even Conway, who never wrote any of his songs, but those artists were like, man, songwriters are our best friends. That's why Johnny Cash and Christopherson and Willie. Willie wrote "Crazy" for Patsy Cline. Just some of the greatest songwriters. And I've gotten to tour with Willie and all those guys. It was amazing.
Is it weird? And probably not, because it happens all the time. But is it weird writing a song and then someone else singing it when you kind of wrote it about your personal experience?
It is, especially "I'm All Right" was one, which is a song, of course, I wrote about Mitch, and but you know what? At that time, I do it in all my shows. I do it every night. I always close the show with it, and Billy Joel, and that song changed my life. All those songs, because they were huge hits, and then back then, it was a big thing. You'd get some big checks, and I didn't live in an apartment. It changed financially. It changed everything. So
well, and you're talking about playing kind of cover songs, right? But I'm saying you're writing a song,
right,
and then someone else is singing it and getting all the
glory for it,
right? And it's like
the accolades,
and then half of them, it's like, wait a second, you don't even write songs. You're just the performer, and I guess I get that, but. It seems like, you would expect people to write their own stuff, and that doesn't happen as much as I would have thought it would.
Well, I did expect that. That's what I thought. And then I was like, so none of these artists are doing their own songs. Tim never wrote any songs, or Kenny, but then, Kenny's a good writer too, because I've did tour with Kenny and had some. We've had some songs cut together, but of course, it was a different time. Like Alan Jackson, for me, changed everything when Merle Haggard, of course, and then the new crop was Alan and guys like Ben Paisley and whatever. We're all label mates, so it was a lot of fun to just to see what they did, and I kind of did my own thing, of course, but it was a little harder for me, I think, just to get. I don't know, to break the ice for some reason, because if you're a piano player, it doesn't work here, right?
I was going to ask that. Why country music? Why Nashville when, country music obviously is much more known for guitars, right? And, you talked about Billy Joel, you talked about Elton John. Those are, pop or rock or whatever you want to call it, but you went to Nashville to play the piano.
Yeah, and I did write a song called "Piano Man in a Guitar Town," and it was, it's just part of it. It was part of my journey, and it just made it harder. I think it just made it harder. And
but why? Why did you decide? Hey, look, and I know you said your coach said you got to go to Nashville. Why did you decide? Why was that the calling, for lack of a better word, out of college?
I don't know. I think. I felt more at home. As a matter of fact, one of my dad's buddies from high school, from EC Glass, he ended up managing Mel Tillis, and he was playing bass, and Lee Greenwood. He discovered Lee and some of those guys, and you know what? It just seemed Nashville to me. I went there and I said, I'm going to try it out. I want, visited all these places, New York, and of course when I did Star Search in the '80s. I was a finalist on that show.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I was. Yeah, I was Ed McMahon and met Dick Clark and all those guys, and it was just it was weird because I just moved to town, and one of the guys at the Tennessean newspaper, he said, "Man, they're doing this show called Star Search, and the like Mark Miller and those guys for Sawyer Brown, they won it as a band." So I ended up doing that, and I went out there and spent several months out there doing which was for a hillbilly from Lynchburg. I was just a little overwhelmed, I'll be honest, but it was a really, really great experience for me, and Ed McMahon was great. meeting Dick Clark and having dinner with Dick Clark. I mean, I still really, I still kind of scratch my head sometimes and go, did that really happen? But I have pictures. Thank God for that. It's not like cell phones were around back then, but it was such a great time and getting to have these conversations with Kenny Rogers and Merle Haggard, and I mean these guys were I'm like wow, and they were the most gracious, magnanimous. They were really they had great advice. For a young artist, I said, man, you got to watch out for this, and Buck Owens too. The same. He was such a great. Just a great guy and a brilliant guy. And what he did with, all the radio, he owned all those radios. I mean, that guy was a gillionaire. He was so smart, and he got in when the getting was good. And it's changed so much now with Sirius and streaming and it's everything's so, so different, but it's been fun.
You mentioned a lot of huge names in the music industry that you've toured with or spoke with or gotten advice from or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is there, let me start with this. Is there one piece of advice that has stuck with you that you may even, pass along to other people who come up to you and say, hey, what can you tell me? What do I need to know? Is there one thing that stands out above all the rest?
Absolutely. Don't do it. Just do it. Just stay in school. No, it really is I tell, of course I've done these master's classes at Vassar and, some colleges that they've asked me to speak. And, I'll just say, look, man, it is such a different business now. Than it was when I got into it, when we got into it, right? So, but it's you got to do what you love. You really got to love it, but you've got to work hard, and it's not gonna. But now you can make a tape and do something, and you're having number one record on some internet. It's a sensation, and but then you see. Like for us, we had to play clubs, work audiences, and do all the stuff that we learned the hard way, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it doesn't translate, being a YouTube artist or something like that because you've never really. It's like one of my friends the other day. He was talking to one of the artists that was. I think had a deal or something. Have you ever done a show outside your bedroom? Which made me laugh. I mean, but I laughed so hard. But it's really that way. And you would get, people that would win. So, because I was one of the judges on National Star and did that. Me and we had a great time with Blake and me and I mean it was just it's a different world,
Did I read or hear or see that you are so grateful for having to work your way up and play smaller clubs or bars and actually enjoy that perhaps more than big stadiums?
Well, you know what? It's a whole different thing, when you're doing, I was, of course, getting to play. I was with Kenny when Chesney and I were out together. He took me out with him, and we were playing 1,500 seat theaters. And by this time, you think my tractor's sexy, or she thinks my tractor's sexy, and all that stuff blew up. I mean, we were playing 1,500 seat, theaters, and then we were playing 30,000 seat arenas that summer. It was huge. It blew up. And
right in the middle of the tour.
I'd never seen anything like it. And he hit that lick and, which is really fun, to see that happen. I mean, we were playing, I remember we played up at UVA, we played Charlottesville, but in the middle of that thing, I remember being in Raleigh, North Carolina. We were at the amphitheater or whatever it is, but it was just packed out, sold out. I said, well, Kenny goes, I think we found our market. I think you're right, brother. But it was a lot of fun and to see that. And, of course, Tim, Tim has always had a big, big following. And but now there's, Jelly Roll and some of those guys and Luke Bryan and Paisley. And it's country music is alive and well, which is kind of fun, to see. And
then there's kind of the new country and the old country, right?
Yeah, there is kind of, because I guess I'm old now for sure. But, you got a lot of the rap in it. And like Post Malone, who I love, he's a great guy. And so, you just keep evolving. I think, you do the same thing over and over, and then it just gets stale. And so, which I thought, and that was some of the advice that Merle and some of those guys would say. They said, man, it never stays. It's a moving target, man. You got to keep on doing it. And, like George Jones even did the same thing. And he had some of the, of course he was the greatest voice to me, and him and Merle Haggard were the best singers. And then, it just, you got to keep on, seeing what happens. You throw yourself out there and see what sticks, and as long as you do something, you don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable, because you can usually tell that. I've seen that happen a few times, and it's like, if I ever do that, smack me in the face. And I'm holding you to that. Okay.
For example?
Well, I just think that, I can't think of anything right now, but I'm just telling you can always tell when somebody's.
Well, I guess what I was asking was, has that happened to you?
That I've done anything
where it's just that far out of whack with what you did that you're like, I'm not doing that again?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, now that, because record labels sort of kept you, in check, they did that. But now there is no check, now it's you have, like I said, YouTube and all these things that you see people doing all these, different kinds of music and different, you just don't know what's going to stick. But I just want to do this as long as I can do it and feel comfortable about it. And then, maybe go off to an island somewhere and float around on a float. And
we're not quite there yet.
No, I just love it. I love it now. I feel great.
You talked about evolving, and it's important to evolve. How have you evolved?
Well, I think you just keep on, I think as a songwriter, naturally, you kind of try to write something that's not the same as, just No Day in Paradise or something. You just got to kind of keep growing. And, you just, I think if you do something and it makes you feel, if you like it as an artist, you just got to, and hopefully it'll translate to your fans. And so, I mean, it's going to be a fun year. I mean, I'm going out with Old Dominion next year, which is going to be exciting, I think, because those guys we're all from here. And I remember getting those guys, seeing Matt and Trevor and those guys, and I said, man, come to Nashville. And they did, and see. So it's fun to, kind of see like the Brothers Osborne, and those guys used to work for me too. And you see some of that stuff in the Old Dominion guys, and it's kind of fun to see them explode, blow up. And now they're taking me on the road with them, so it's great. I love it.
Well, who's the favorite? Who's your favorite artist that you've toured with? What, it may not be the artist, but just the tour, the one that is there one that really stands out above the rest? And why?
Well, it was great. I mean, when we were out with Kenny Chesney and it kind of changed everything, seeing all that blow up, and it was inspiring to watch. Of course, being out with Kenny Rogers was a dream, right? That was all the hits he had, and and just seeing that, it was just a different kind of thing. But Kenny had a great, he's got a great organization, great crew, and it just was so fun. And we were kind of label mates also too. And so it was fun, but it's, I'm looking forward to, to what comes next. I think next year is going to be a lot of fun, and we're closing out here. As a matter of fact, we're coming back through Lynchburg, and I'm excited about that. And it's,
is it different playing at home or near home?
I think,
like you talked about UVA, and that's obviously really close.
Right.
But when you're in Lynchburg, that's where you're from. I mean, is it different than playing in Raleigh or Tampa or some other city? Absolutely. I mean, this is your roots. This is your family and your friends, and I mean, your old friends. I mean, you grew up with them, and I've always, we've always supported each other and all the things we do, and it's just the best. I mean, just seeing how big this town's gotten compared to what it was when, when I left, and it's your family, and my sisters are here, and it's my mom, and it doesn't get better than when you come home and play your songs, And they'll tell you too. If it's not good, they'll tell you. And again, you're going to be at the Academy the end of October. Oh, I can't wait. And people can grab tickets. I know your website certainly has them, and you can get them at the Academy as well. It's a beautiful venue too. It is. I mean, it's so great. And my buddies from Lone Star, they just played here, I think, and it's one of those venues that. It's been around. I love what they've done to it, and I love doing my Miller Home stuff. I love doing all the stuff. I love coming home, and so it's. I want to get home more. I think I will. Now that I won't go out again until next spring with the Old Dominion guys. I think we don't start. I think until April or May, and so it's gonna be great. You touched on it earlier, a couple of years ago. The heart attack followed immediately by the stroke. Mm-hmm. Blown away by the fact that, I saw an interview where you said you were dead for 30 minutes. Well, I had no heartbeat. Yeah. No heartbeat. No heartbeat, and it happened again. They got me started, got me my heart beating again, and then on the way to the hospital to Vanderbilt, which is right down the street. Heart stopped again, so they had to, they did a whole bunch of that, shock, and it was, I remember coming to when I was in Atlanta. I said, "What is this on my chest?" It was these burns, right? They said, "Yeah, they shocked they did the electric shock to your chest and to get your heart started again." And so it was kind of weird. I was like, okay. But it was the stroke was a different thing. It was a cerebellar stroke or whatever you call it. And I can't remember what the term is. Anybody know? No. But it was slow. It was a slow go for a little bit, but they took good care of me in Atlanta, and then I came back. I think about 5 months later or whatever. And but it's. Were you worried about ever getting a chance to play again? Of course. For a while, I was just, because they were introducing me to my music again. My sisters and Carrie, they were playing my songs for me. This is you. Oh, it is. So it's kind of a weird, So, and I know you said you kind of lost your memory for like a year prior to the stroke and the heart attack. So, is that kind of what that was about? You didn't remember playing, or that they were your songs, or help me understand? I think at first it was just more of a, just slowly but surely. I think they were trying to get me back into the groove. But it was kind of fun to hear, some of the stories. It's like about the songs that they played my greatest hits record or something. They would play songs off of that, and they show me videos,
because now really you don't do videos anymore, but back then it was all about the videos. So they would show me the stuff and just kind of familiarize myself with everything I'd done, because it was such decades of just nuts. I mean, it was one thing after the next, and because back then you really had to work radio so hard, and then you had to write the songs, you had to shoot videos for the songs, you had to tour. You're on this tour from. It was, it was a lot.
So as they're helping you remember this, right, and you're starting to get back in the groove as you described it,
right?
Did it come back all at once? Was it gradual? Did you sit down and just start playing a little bit, or did it? What was that part like?
From what I remember, they brought a piano down to Atlanta to put in my room, and I think they said I started playing. It took a little bit, but they said it's kind of came back. And as a matter of fact, for the staff at Shepherd Center, I played them a couple songs, when I was leaving, and it was really really cool. I went from about 205 pounds. I was jacked up. I think I went to about 150 pounds.
Wow!
So I lost a lot of weight, and I did. I didn't look like myself. I was like, what in the world? But it was a great. I was very blessed to be able to go somewhere like that and them sort of rehab me.
Yeah, to have that and the support staff, right?
Absolutely.
Your family and Carrie and
my family. Yeah, I mean it was tough on all of them, but they were there, man. It was a beautiful thing.
How long was it? From the first heart attack, I guess, till you sat and like, I'm back and you're ready and, I'm going to go on tour and I'm back.
It happened in February the 4th, so just with the heart attack. And then I went to rehab. And then I think by the fall I did a few shows.
Wow.
Came back out. I think my first show was back up in like Green Bay or Milwaukee. And so it was definitely, it was quicker than I thought. I think, but I feel better now than I have in years.
How has that whole thing changed your perspective on life? I know you talked about you want to come home more, right? And you're just glad to. I would assume, because I've never been through it yet, but
well, not.
Well,
no, I hope you don't.
But I mean, it's like, you enjoy every day. You make it a point to. I've heard those different things. How's it been for you?
Yeah, I think you definitely appreciate things more, and I do appreciate every moment I spend with people I love, and your kids are growing up and all these things, you just, and I miss so much of it. And I've always had that guilt, because I was on the road, I was touring, I was doing this, but I tried to get home. I mean, I would fly from West Coast to Nashville, back to the West Coast in a day. I did stuff like that. Just tried to be there for a dance recital or something. You just do the best you can, and but I got great advice from a lot of my songwriter buddies. He said, "Look, man, one of my dear friends, Charlie Black, who I wrote so many songs with, but he was my hero, really. He was one of the guys that took me under his wing, and we wrote some big hits, but he was like, I just want you to know I was there for everything. He was there for everything. And he said, my kids didn't care. And but he always tried to make me feel better he said, look, man, you're out there doing your thing. He said, try to love them as much as you can, be with them as much as you can, and they'll remember that. And I think they really did. I think that was a good advice, because I agonized over, I'm missing this, because it all blew up right when my kids were little. So I miss a lot of that time. And but I'm very close to my girls now, and even though they're 21 and 26, but they're very sweet, and I'm close to them. So it
all worked out.
It all worked out, But and I'm still going. So
you talked about Green Bay, all these different places you've been. I don't want to ask you what your favorite is, but what place surprised you the most that you're like, I didn't expect it to be like this, and maybe I want to go back or I don't want to go back?
Oh, well, there's a lot of places I don't want to go back. No, the fun thing is now, back then it was always, you're trying to get to the next hit, next hit. And I've had a couple of my buddies say, look, man, relax. You've had dozens of hits and hit songs, number one songs, or number two, it was always about the number one songs, right? But now I realize as time goes by, it doesn't matter if it was a 1 or 2 or 5 or a 10 or, it was always about that number, having that number one song. And,
Is there one that you thought that you still think should have been number one that didn't make it?
Oh, absolutely.
Which one?
Well, I mean, there's.
Don't say all of them.
I'm saying, the one song, one of my first singles was a song called Postmark Birmingham. It was by Black Hawk. And I loved the song. I don't know if it was just the recording of it, but I always thought when that song, everybody was like, that's song of the year. And then radio, it was just, it was at that time when ballads were hard to get. Radio is very cyclical, they don't want to play a lot of ballads because it's like in our show, we only do a couple of ballads in my show. I've only had number one. I had one number one song that was a ballad, and it was a big hit, so I don't do many. It ruins. I mean, Chesley and I, we would always talk about it. He said, man, I hate doing ballads, and it just blows the groove of the show. You're rocking, and then you got to slow it down, and so it just it really sort of fires you up when you can do and you can get the crowd rocking, but you got to do your hits. So a lot of the guys do like a medley of hits or something like that. They'll do 3 or 4 songs, but they slowed down. The radio stations decided, so we've decided we need to slow it down. I mean, it wasn't broken. It wasn't broken. I mean, people are having that back then. You could have 4 or 5 number one songs in a year, and then when they slowed the stuff down, where you could only have 1 song a year, if you were a new artist, and it was just it was bullshit. It was bullshit. And anyway, but I think they got what was coming to them. And, it just changed, you can't, there was nothing, the system wasn't broken. Radio was always, to me, that was your thing, and now it's different, you got all the streaming and this, and, but we all, broke on radio, and it was fun when you could have 3 or 4 songs in a year, have a hit. You could really have it took for us, it took years and years to have 4 hits, 5 hits. It took a decade almost. So, it was with Garth and all those guys were having hits. They'd get to number one in 12 weeks and go to the next one, And some of the songs we were having like 40 weeks, 45 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
So it really slowed the pace down. And that was whoever consultants. I remember them. Not a good idea.
Maybe not a fair question. Kind of like asking you who your favorite daughter is.
No.
Right? But do you have a favorite song that you've written? And do you have a favorite song to perform?
Oh man, it's always fun to do. I'm all right. I love that song. The hits are always fun, and but there's a couple of songs that I never got to release. And, when I do kind of stripped down shows or acoustic or small theaters where it's just me and a piano, or I like to do, you definitely change up your set, instead of when you're doing a festival, when you got to just do number one, you got to do your hit. You just keep pounding them, and which is fun. And you get that crowd reaction. But, as a songwriter, there are definitely songs that I like to do as a piano artist, and it just there's something about the way when I like my favorite shows always. I mean, I got to meet Elton and saw him when he did a solo when his bass player died. He was at Opryland. I got to meet him, and that was before I'd had any hits or anything. But he was just great. And there's nothing like seeing an artist like Elton or like even Billy Joel, and So It Goes, and some of those songs where it's just him and a piano, or James Taylor with just him and a guitar. Jimmy Buffett too could sit in a room and just mesmerize you, and talk about why he wrote this song or how he got the idea for the, whatever. Like Come Monday, it was one of my first songs as an artist. I just loved that song, and I talked to Jimmy about it. And it was Come Monday, and he was on the road and was talking about how he wrote it. It was just I got to listen to these guys talk about that stuff. I still can't believe it, but it was great.
25 years of Paradise Tour. I'm double checking my notes to make sure I get the date right. October 27th. That's a Monday night. You're at the Academy. What can folks who are going to be at that show, what can they expect?
Well, I'm probably going to play a couple hits or something, and there's nothing like coming home. There's nothing like coming home and seeing, I don't know, people you grew up with. You went to sixth grade or fifth grade, high school, college. I mean, Lynchburg's grown so much, and it's such it's a great town. And I just, I was walking downtown, of course, this week. I've been just hanging out, in for the wedding, but man, it's just great. It's just great to be able to do that and to come home and go, man, this is, it's a town that built me as a writer, as an artist, as a human. It's pretty cool.
So this tour, then you're going to tour with Old Dominion next year.
Right.
Continuing to write new music?
Absolutely. We've got new stuff coming out now. I mean, I'm still in the studio. I've just got, I think about 6 songs recorded, new songs. And so we're just, I'm just doing what I do. Write songs, record them, and just go on the road and play them. And
anything drastically different for you? I mean, you talked about evolving, and obviously, what you went through a couple of years ago changes your life, right? I mean, Has that changed your music much?
Well, I think you write about even dying. I've read a couple of, hey, by the way, I did die, and come back and. It's
crazy that we're laughing about it.
I know it really is. It is, and I've never been so thankful for every day. And so it does change you, and I don't have to do 150 shows a year anymore, and I don't want to. I just love to play, and when I do play, I want to have a great time and put on a great show, and as long as I can do that, heck, man, it's golden.
October 27th, the Academy, the Miller Home Golf Tournament as well. I know that's super important to you.
Can't wait.
So for folks who want to play some golf, it's for a great cause, and then the show that night is going to be phenomenal.
What are we singing together? We're singing a song together, right? Okay. What?
Don't let them talk you into that. That's no good.
See
that's
what I'm
no
saying?
Good. No one needs to hear that.
We'll have a great time. It's going to be so much fun, And you know, I just thanks for having me on today. This is great. I love this.
Really appreciate it. I mean,
Absolutely.
you know, and I gotta give a quick shout out to Ron Blackwood, because he helped me set it up. Did nothing else, but he did help set this
He's
up.
the man. He's great. And you talk about a guy that's grown up around the music business, boy.
Yeah.
I tell you, you know, Elvis and now it all ties into Elvis, because we're doing an Elvis week down here in Lynchburg at the whatever they're doing it.
I think
it's
that's
cool.
at the Academy too.
I was getting on the elevator this morning, and these two guys, I'm like, holy crap, it's Elvis and Elvis. I mean, good grief. I wish I had their hair. I mean, I was like, are you kidding me? But they were really sweetheart guys. And I hope I get to listen to some of them do a little singing. So we'll see.
Phil, thank you.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Spitz, are you kidding me? Let's do it again.
Love to.
Tomorrow. So whatever.
Phil Vassar.